Hi, thanks for joining me on the Everything and Anything and a Bit Gay podcast. I am your host, Zach Randles-Friedman. And this weekend, I have this bedroom that we don't use that's downstairs, and it has become a closet. There is a queen-size bed in it. And basically what I do is after I wash sheets and towels, I end up throwing them in this bed and don't fold them. And I know that's just a horrible habit to have. But that door is closed and we never, ever go into this room. It's also become a storage room for all the clothes that we don't wear and winter coats. And there's like a whole two racks of winter coats. I mean, we're starting to go through and clean up this room because I think my father-in-law, we're hoping, will come up and stay with us for a month or two. And unfortunately, my mother-in-law just passed away, and our father-in-law, we're hoping that he'll come and stay with us for a while. And not in the winter in Boston, but in the spring, hopefully he'll come up, or the summer. But we got to get that room cleaned up because right now, that room is not livable because there is just so much. Oh God, I'm trying to think what's in that room. What's in that room is coats, lots of dress shirts that we don't wear. There's so many ties, and there's all the sheets and towels that are on the bed. And I'm going to go through that by the end of today and get all of them folded and put away. That is a goal for my weekend before I wrap up this weekend. And then also I order bulk toilet paper and paper towels. And so there's big boxes of that. But the other thing that's there, and all my Christmas decorations are there. And I didn't decorate a tree this year because we're not going to be home and we're traveling so much. So I'm like, forget it. I'm not doing a Christmas tree. I'm not decorating anything this year. And I'm not in the Christmas spirit. So as I'm recording this, it's December 14th. I don't know when this episode will come out, but I'm not in the Christmas spirit at all this year. I haven't listened to any Christmas music. I haven't baked any Christmas cookies. I'm just it's not for me this year. But, it snowed today. It looks snowy outside. Still not getting me in the mood for Christmas. But I have this storage room that is going to become a bedroom, has 3 or 4 crates of stuff that I've collected over the years, like memories. So it could be anything from high school stuff. So I have a memory book from high school that's in this box. My yearbooks are in these boxes. A lot of stuff from college is in there. This stuff was sitting in my mom's garage for years. And then whenever she moved, she's like, get your shit or it's going in the garbage. So I had to find room for all these memories, these 4 crates of memories. But I started going through it to see if there's something that do I want all this stuff? Because how often am I going to look at it? But I can't let it go. But it really brought back memories as I'm going through it about college, which was I loved college. I loved all my friends in college. I loved my social life in college. I loved college. I loved the partying. I lived on South Beach. I loved my roommate, Lise. I don't know. College was so amazing. I was figuring out who I was. And when I came out to my parents, finally I could be who I was. And I don't know. I loved everything about college. I wish I could go back to college back then, but not now. But then, as you look at, and I loved high school too, because I had such amazing, great friends. I had fun in high school. There were 2 guys that I went to high school with that I'll reference in this interview that you're getting ready to hear, with a guy named Norman King IV. And he talks about, so he's a black guy, an African-American guy who grew up in Washington, D.C. He went to, it sounds like all white or mostly all white school. And he talked about how he was being bullied. And I'm looking at this guy as I'm interviewing him, thinking, God, he's such a cute guy. Like, who would bully him? And sounds like it was maybe a little bit of racist because he's a black guy, and it just like it baffles me that this. But you know what? I realized after we ended the interview, kids are just mean, and you just see all this bullying online now, and kids are mean. But you know what the great thing is that he has had an amazing life so far, and it's going to just get better. Where he lived in Paris for 3.5 years and lived in the Netherlands, and he's done a bunch of short films, and now he started his own production company. And I loved talking with him. He's so inspirational. He was so positive. And yeah, and then I looked at my life and thinking like, oh, look how well I did. And I mean, I wasn't really bullied in high school. These two guys like to call me gay or fag or whatever they would say back then. And and I look at one of them I've looked up on Facebook, and I mentioned this in my interview, so sorry you may hear this twice, but he's bald. One of them are bald. He's bald and gross, and you know, he's married to somebody that we went to high school with, and she ain't so cute. So, whatever. And the other guy is not online anywhere, and he had Napoleon syndrome because he was so short, and who knows where they are, but I know they're not where I'm at. So anyway, enjoy my episode with Norman King IV because he was a really great person to interview and super positive. And I have predicted to him in this interview that he will be getting an Emmy or an Oscar or both. And when he does that, he's coming back on my show to talk about it. So enjoy the interview. Hi, thanks for joining me on the Everything and Anything and a Big Gay podcast. Today, my guest is coming all the way from West Hollywood, California, Norman King. Welcome to my show.
Thank you so much, Zach. It's a pleasure.
So I did some research on you before we joined the podcast, and you have, I don't even know where to start actually, because you wear so many hats. I'm just going to tell me what I'm leaving out. So you're an actor, a filmmaker, a host, and an entrepreneur. So when somebody asks you, Norman, what do you do? What do you say?
Well, usually I lead with I'm a filmmaker. I would say, I think first and foremost, I am a filmmaker. I'm a creator. I'm an artist. I started my production company, Norman King. It's my initials, so NKIV Productions. I started that a few months ago, but before that, ever since I was 5 years old, I've been writing scripts and making content from a very, very young age.
Awesome. And did your parents kind of see that when you were growing up, that they knew you were going to do this field? Like they felt the talent that you had?
They definitely did. They always knew. They were
Awesome.
always, and they were actually very supportive, which I'm very, very grateful because I know there are some parents that are like, you got to go the traditional route.
Yeah.
And be like a doctor or a lawyer. But my parents were very supportive. They sponsored all the equipment I got as a child,
Awesome.
Editing, software, and cameras. And they encouraged me to create. Even though they're business owners, they enjoy the arts. My father, he actually is a bass player as well, and he plays guitar, piano, stand-up bass, like the old-fashioned
Awesome.
musician. So I'm not sure the term. And electric bass. So
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Washington D.C. area.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Do you miss the East Coast ever?
I'm actually starting to miss it less because I'm so accustomed to the warm weather here in LA, and it's just made me so soft, and it's made me very comfy here. And so I'm going back for the holidays actually to the East Coast to see some family, and I'm not looking forward to the cold. Oh my gosh, I'm scared.
I was in California this past week in Orlando for work, and I got home last night, and at 11 o'clock my plane landed, and it was 22 degrees out. So I know where you're coming from, where I'm just like, oh my God, I was dying because I didn't bring a winter coat with me because when I left, it wasn't that cold. And when I got back, because I was gone for a little over a week, and it was I was not when I walked outside to get my Uber, I was not happy. So,
Yeah, 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 I imagine.
so was there a kind of a particular moment? I know you say you started when you were like 5 years old, but was there a particular moment when you got a little older where you were like, "This is kind of like what I want to do with my life. This is what I want my career to be."
I mean, I just felt through even through like junior high, through high school, I was determined. I was like, this is what I'm going to do and nothing else. Like, I just knew that entertainment was for me. And I always applied to schools for colleges. Like I would apply all the time, always for like
Mm.
an art school for either acting or for filmmaking. And so I decided to go and study in Paris for 3.5 years. So I got into Emerson and Paris College of Art in the dual degree film art program. And I got to spend 3 years in Paris and also a little bit of time in the Netherlands as well.
Wow. And so how did that I mean, living in Paris, how did that kind of change your whole trajectory of life and just the experience? Like, how did that change you? Because that's pretty amazing.
Thank you. I still have lifelong friends, family, I'll call it, actually still living there, and they work in fashion photography. So just being, I mean, I'm coming from a very international city, Washington, D.C., and I was always
Yeah.
around different cultures. So I always loved learning different languages, and I always loved being around people that had different experiences and different, like, ethnic or different cultural
Yeah.
practices than I did. So I was already used to that, but at the same time, it was just a great experience being in Paris, like just walking everywhere all the time, and having a different approach to work and a different approach to, I guess, philosophy and
Yeah.
art than America does have. It's changing, but it was a great different, like it was really good, different perspective to have, and just to eat some really good food also all the time.
Yeah.
It was like, I mean, amazing, and to be able to travel to different countries as well. Since Europe is very,
Yeah.
the trains are very close and it's very convenient.
Yeah, I lived in Switzerland for a year, and every weekend I'd either be on a train or doing the easy jet flights to go somewhere. And in that year, I got to see more of Europe than most people, or that I probably would in my whole life, but than most people would ever see in their whole life. Because
Yes,
going
yes,
to Stockholm or taking a train to Paris from Switzerland was very easy, and
yes.
it was amazing. So I know where you're coming from. So. Uh, how was living in the Netherlands compared to Paris?
When I lived in the Netherlands, we were in Emerson's Castle in Limburg, so it was actually quite like country. It was like rural a
Okay.
little bit, so it wasn't like the middle of nowhere, but it was
Yeah.
like it was a small town. So it was different. It was a little more isolated, but nonetheless, it was still a great experience because one, it was beautiful. I mean, like the architecture and
Yeah.
being able to go to museums and study like Rembrandt and different like art history and Dutch painters. It was amazing because we would go on different excursions. Germany was really close, so we would go to Germany oftentimes or Belgium.
Yeah.
It was just very insightful and it was very peaceful, I would say as well.
What did kind of European like arts and cinema kind of what did you bring back to America with you that you kind of learned from that creative prospect?
First of all, like I always like to incorporate different languages into my films. So I myself, like I speak Spanish, Portuguese, and French and Russian.
God, that's
Uh,
a really that
yeah,
many?
yeah.
How did you learn them all?
Well, so Spanish I weren't learn in school because my parents wanted me to be like fully immersed in Spanish
Yeah.
because they work with a lot of Spanish speaking people.
Yeah.
And then Portuguese is very similar. They're actually a
Yeah.
lot of them related. So most of them are Latin based. So I taught myself Portuguese at home, and I have a lot of Brazilian friends and a lot of friends from Cape Verde. So we would speak to each other. And then Russian, I decided to teach myself as well because one of my close like aunts that's not really related to me, but I call her an aunt
Yeah.
anyway. She's a Russian artist,
Yeah.
and a lot of Russians and Ukrainians and people from like the former Soviet Union that were family friends of ours, and in our church as well. So I just would have conversations with them, and then as I decided to add Russian in addition to Spanish to my classes in high school. So
Wow.
Yeah, so I took it as like an extracurricular course.
I mean, I grew up in Miami, and one of my best friends is Cuban. His mother speaks no English. Most of the people I went to college with, were Latin background. And I should know, and I took Spanish in high school and college. I should know Spanish, and I don't. And so for the past year, I've been trying to do Duolingo, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that's the way to go. So I think I'm going to get a tutor to teach me actually how to speak the right way, like an in-person person to
Well,
do
also
it. So.
helps is like just watching the TV shows in Spanish. That's what I do.
Well, my friend who I went to kind of throughout college with knew him. He actually wanted to know Spanish so badly. He moved to Ecuador for 4 years to
Wow.
he really immersed himself in Spanish, but he also loved Latin guys. So that was the other reason why he went. Um, so, what was the moment where you said that to yourself, like, I need to like do this NKIV production company? When did that moment happen?
Well, it's funny you asked that because it started out as a different, like with a different name.
Okay.
So it started out actually as My Two Cents TV, and I
Hmm.
actually started this like little like talk show during the pandemic. So we were all cramped up, and I was actually still in college. So I
Were you the
started.
host?
I was the host still.
Okay, love that.
Started as the host, still am the host, and we would talk about different subjects. Like we would talk about the pandemic. We would talk about students being deprived of sleep. We would talk about like the rise of Asian hate. So we did like a little like talk about that. We all talk about Black Lives Matter,
Yeah.
anti-Semitism, a bunch of different issues. But then something occurred to me. I was like, I want to start talking about things I like art, like instead of like a bunch of like social justice issues. I want to
Yeah.
start talking about the career and like the positives that I'm
Hmm.
positive, like I'm like very passionate about. So yeah, that's something I decided to change the name because my two cents was already like taken by somebody else. I found out like it was like too common of a name. Like I like had some legal help. Like people are telling me that like
Yeah.
it's really feasible to get this name. So I decided to trademark my name, and no one else has my name, Norman King the Fourth, like
Yeah.
NKIV, like as far as I know, like
Yeah.
so make it unique to myself. And so with that, I'm able to have not just the talk show, which is called Meet the Makers. Currently,
Is it on YouTube? Where is it at?
it's on YouTube, and it's also on Instagram and Spotify, and coming on Spotify later in January, and also on TikTok as well.
Okay, I'm going to put links to that in the description of this podcast for anybody that wants to go and check it out. So
Yes, yes.
so tell me, like, I mean, living in Paris for 3.5 years and the Netherlands and being able to travel, you brought in a lot of culture, and I'm sure you saw again, just I kind of asked you this a little bit before, but you see a lot more things different than what, a person that a lot of Americans don't go to Europe or don't leave the country or they go to Mexico and that's it. So,
Yeah.
I think it's more people are starting to go to Europe than ever before and stuff, but you really were able to kind of go out and see all this different culture, right? And see all these different types of people and different art. Do you think that's kind of being reflected still in in the work that you're doing?
I think so every single day. The way I even dress or the way I even like carry myself, like I
Mhm.
feel like I won't leave the house with like sweatpants on because like in Europe when I was living there, it wasn't a thing to wear athleisure.
Yeah.
Like I mean I'm wearing a hat right now, but like it's still like it's you can be casual there, but you have to still present yourself in a way that's not like like put some effort into it instead of just like walking around like you were in pajamas.
Yeah.
So that's something that I still carry with me dearly. And another thing is just trying to, I guess, look at, being very detailed. I feel like Europeans are very detailed when it comes to history and looking at art
Mhm.
and craftsmanship. I learned about that, like, not only through but film, but also through like my art classes and photography classes, seeing that. And so, yeah, I would like going back to your note about like traveling. I would wish to see more Americans going to Europe or
Me
to other
too.
places around the world. And I think my family, I guess we're like kind of an odd bunch because we've always been very like a big travel family. Like I used
Yeah.
to I went to Australia as a child. I went to China, Qatar, and I have family actually lives in Macau in China and Okinawa, Japan. So yeah, we're all over the place.
Yeah.
And I wish that I think with social media, a lot more people are actually promoted like to do that.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see an increase in that.
Yeah. I brought my friend in February or March of this year. My friend has never been out of the country. She's been my friend since the sixth grade or eighth grade. And I took her to London and Paris, and
Oh,
she
nice.
was just, just amazed by how there's a whole new world out there. So, I love the experience with like bringing her there and like taking her to the places that I like to eat. And Paris, I love because of the shopping, but there's also this. I'm into skincare, and there's a skincare pharmacy. I don't know if you even know it. You're young, so you may not even have done anything with your skin back then. So but there's a skincare pharmacy where it is always packed and all it is skincare stuff. And it's a little cheaper than maybe you would get it if you were going to, I don't know. It's not even like stuff that's sold in Sephora. It's a lot of French brands, most of them.
Mhm.
And we went there, and she's just like, she was just amazed on like how people were just like so into their skin, and just, I don't know. The whole thing was just an amazing adventure for her. I'm so glad I got to be there for her to kind of experience these things. So,
I know exactly what you're talking about. A lot of the pharmacies, every time I go to a French pharmacy, it's always a skincare. I do actually promote skincare with people, with anyone. Like, I think it's important for anyone to do
yeah.
skincare. That's actually one of our episodes for Meet the Makers, where I had a friend who's an esthetician come onto the show and, talk about, guys need to do skincare too. So we were doing
Yeah.
like a talk about how for men, and especially for people like me who have curly hair, have
Yeah.
ink hair, so there's certain things that we have to do to take care of ourselves, especially as
Yeah.
actors, people that are doing stuff in the industry.
Yeah. Um, whenever, yeah, my husband has, he has very curly hair and gets ingrown hairs too. So I now have like shown him skincare and shown him how to like take care of his skin, and I'm making him do Botox now and to be preventative and stuff. So, but now I've created a bit of a monster. So, like in my bathroom, I have tons of skincare. And now he's coming into my bathroom and like using my stuff. And I need to like go get your own, go back to your Target stuff that you were buying before. Like leave my expensive stuff alone. So um anyway, so you did a couple of short films whenever you were living in Paris, right? You want to is that anything you'd want to talk about, and just kind of, is that where you kind of started off a little bit?
Yeah, well, I did have one of my biggest short films that actually got a lot of acclaim was called Look at Me. And it was my senior thesis from college, and I actually submitted it to a bunch of different film festivals in London, Paris, the Netherlands, and also Moldova, of all places, in Eastern Europe, and Washington, D.C., where I'm from. And I also got into LA Shorts as well. And the film
Wow.
was about a man that struggles with his body image before he goes on a date. So I've always seen these movies about, identity and like, I guess facial or like physical appearance, but only like through a woman's like perspective, or like
Hmm.
through like the main character was usually a female. So
Hmm.
I wanted to switch it around and make it a male character that's struggling with like what he looks like.
Yeah.
And he's fine. Like he's like, a person that like conventionally, like, people would think, what's wrong? Like, why do you think you're, like obese or whatever? And no one else can see it but him. So I wanted to show that through his perspective, and it was a great time filming. I got to film with my friends. One of my best friends, Rocky Zuo, he was the cinematographer. He's based in Shanghai. And one of my other best friends, Rahita Gadala, she was a producer. And we all went to school together, and we just got a bunch of people from Paris to star in the film.
Yeah.
And got to shoot at I don't know if you watched the TV show Emily in Paris
Yeah.
on Netflix, but we got to shoot at one of the restaurant locations that they also shot at for season 2.
Awesome. What kind of stories do you want to tell now? Like, do you have now that you have this production company? Is there a certain kind of I mean, you could tell anything. So, is there a certain direction that you want to go? I mean, I love your story. I love the way that two things that I love that you've said. Well, more than two, but these are the two I'm going to point out. One is I love it that you kind of reverse the thing about the men's skincare because it's important for men to do it as much as women are and to take care of your skin. So I love that you did that. But I also love that you did this short film where you made it the man instead of the woman that is self-conscious about themselves. So whenever you're thinking about like what you want to support or what you want to produce or whatever you want to invest in, what kind of stories are you looking to do?
You know, I always said to myself, I don't think I could ever be put into a box. And
Mhm.
I know that's kind of cliche to say,
No.
but I think through my whole life, people have been very like confused about me. They've always been like, you're a young black kid, but you speak these different languages and you do this and that, and you're an artist, and so I usually get these questions like, what are you, like, all the time? Who are you?
Hmm.
And I decided to just be like, you know what? I'm going to make movies and TV content
Mhm.
that uplifts all of us, but also specifically the underprivileged and the underrepresented, and make them be seen in a non-conventional way and in a
Mhm.
way that's not stereotypical. Because I grew up, seeing a lot of stereotypes on TV and not feeling very confident about myself, and that made me feel very sad. I wasn't very confident as a child because I felt like I was like usually the only black person in the room,
Mhm.
and I didn't feel like I was seen. I didn't feel like I was, fairly represented, and I feel like I always had to fight to not be seen as like something negative. So now I always want to make sure that like I'm uplifting people and that I have a positive message at the end of my films or at the end of whatever TV like show or episode I'm writing, and I'm also showing stories that we haven't heard of before. So
What's an example of that?
right now, I would say I'm partnering with Matricablis Films, which is one of my friend's production companies based here in Los Angeles. And we are writing well, it's already been written. So we're doing pre-production
Yeah.
in January and February. It's a Western TV show called Full Cloud, but the main characters are Native American. So it's Native American,
Love
it's a
that.
American Western.
That's amazing. Whenever you were kind of growing up and you had these, self-confidence issues and you were the only, only black kid there and stuff. Do you feel like that kind of made you stronger in a way now that you're looking back at that as an adult?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it made me actually feel like I could conquer the world now. Like
Yeah.
now I feel like, like nothing can stand in my way. Like,
Yeah.
and the bullies that, that
Did you have bullies because you were a black
oh, I
kid?
of course.
Really?
Yes, 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 yes. Like, there were bullies. I think all of us have bullies at
Yeah,
times.
for sure. But
And but like especially if you're a POC, like a person of color in a like exclusively like white environment, yeah, you're gonna
yeah.
have there's gonna be some tension. I could write a book, I could probably make a movie about it, but like honestly, um it's so funny because like now I laugh about it because then it was like, oh, it's traumatizing. Now I'm like it's like I'm laughing at it, and I'm like I enjoy laughing about it and making fun of it.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I guess, I don't know, I guess I'm just, growing up and I didn't even realize I was gay when I was growing up, like, I was fighting it, like, I was denying it to myself, and I didn't realize until I was, like, 20. Um, so, kids would, were I wasn't really super bullied, but, there were kids there was these 2 guys that I went to high school with that would always
Yeah.
be the bullies and always, fag and all this other stuff and just say things like that. Um, And now, but the great thing is that I look at them and I found them on, found one of them on Facebook and I'm like, you're disgusting now. And what have you, and I'm like, you're gross. And I love it that you're gross because this is everything you do comes back to you. So you were so mean. He was so mean to so many people, not just me, just like he was just that person. And so I just love it that he kind of got what he deserved in life, I think. So,
That's what goes to show you that when when you put negativity into the world,
mhm.
negativity comes back to you. When you put positivity into the world, I think that positivity comes to you. So
Yeah,
as I've always taught myself, and that's what my family always taught me, like, through our faith, just to love one another and to be
yeah,
loving and treat others as they want to be, as you would want to be treated. That's one of my, the golden rule. And
yeah.
I've always lived by that. And I think that's something we need to get back to in this country as well. Like love. I think love is one of the
God,
most important
we
things.
really do. We really do. We need to get back to it. I mean, there's just so much like, I have another podcast called Listen Up Girl, and I do news, LGBTQ plus news, and just like all these stories are so negative about what's happening, not just in this country, but across the world with the LGBTQ plus community. And sometimes I feel like so bad reading all this negative news to people, but I also feel like I got to inform people about what's happening. But I always try to find that positive story to throw in there at some point. So even though the world's just not in the best place right now, I'm still trying to keep it positive. But that's why I have this show where I don't really talk about politics at all, and
Right.
I really try to give people that are inspiring or have a great story and stuff. And so that's what I use this podcast for. So I'm never talking about anything usually with the government. I did have one guy on that's running for for the House, and he was he's an African American guy that lives in Alabama. I think he was in Michigan. He got pulled over. They said he was drinking or he was drunk. He wasn't. Like he did everything that they wanted. He didn't. And then so now he's running for a seat because he wants to, change the law and change that stuff. And that was the only political thing I've ever done. And I love it that he is taking this negative thing that happened to him and he's going to turn it and make it positive because Alabama is a red state and he is a African American man going for a Democratic position, and I really hope he gets it. So,
Yeah, me too. Oh my goodness. I know not to get like political, but like it's a lot going on in the country
yeah,
and we all need each other. And that's why I like to make art that unites us
yeah,
instead of divides us. Because like, even like, and you were talking about like LGBTQ issues, like me as a straight man, like I have a bunch of friends I went to theater, like I'm a theater kid. Like, of
yeah,
course I have a bunch of friends that are
yeah,
like, and we live here in LA. I mean, it's so we have to be there for each other because these issues like intersect,
yeah,
and that's why I love having a bunch of different people come on to my show and also to collaborate with, like when we're writing scripts, because I always love to have like team members, help out if I'm writing about a character. If I don't know what that character's gone through because I haven't lived that experience, I'm always going to like, have some, not like an expert, quote unquote, but like someone that's
hmm
like related to that or has been through that experience to, script supervise for the production.
yeah. I mean, you're just the point where you made where you want to kind of put the positivity out because you put it out and you get it. That's what I've been living by in 2025. Like, put out the positive vibes and it will come back to you. And I really believe that that's 100% true. So there's been so many people that I've interviewed in my show that feel the same way. And it's so refreshing and nice. And it kind of almost like separates me from what's happening in the world whenever I can talk to people like you that are positive and that are doing these things. And so and then people get to listen to your positivity, which is, putting more positivity on the world is the way I see it. So
Thank you.
I wanted to talk a little bit about PBS and WETA,
Yeah,
and you kind of did some national productions there. Tell me about that. That's pretty awesome.
that was a lot of fun. So I actually started at PBS WETA in Washington D.C. as an intern, right outside of college. It was a paid internship,
Yeah,
and I was like, doing basically assistant work and just like research for documentaries and fundraising. And then I became full time assistant, full time associate on my boss's team. He was the executive producer of national productions for WETA and special projects. So we would have meetings with like the Attorney General,
Mhm.
Eric Holder, former Attorney General Eric
Yeah.
Holder, and try to develop podcasts. I would be doing researching for fundraising and reaching out to companies for getting funds for R&D, like research and development for
Yep.
documentaries on germs, documentaries. Like for instance, we did like one with Bradley Cooper's company Lead Pictures about caregiving, about like, and also did some Alzheimer's documentaries. So many different productions were going on. I got to also attend a live like event, the Gershwin Prize event, which was honoring Joni Mitchell, and that was a blast. We had a
Yeah.
really good time there. And it was a really good experience. Like first time out of college, working for a company and learning the ins and out and the business side of filmmaking, because not everyone that's in art school, I think,
Yeah.
goes in about learning about how money works and how finances work and how the actual like juice or the soup or whatever you want to call it is
Yeah.
made.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this probably helped you really prepare yourself to launch your own company, right? I mean, I'm sure this gave you some valuable lessons in what to do.
It did. You know what? It really helped me like know how to make a really good pitch deck. Not
Yeah.
kidding. Like,
Yeah.
to, secure sponsors for my own TV podcast type show. Like, 'cause that's what I was doing at PBS, like constantly making pitch decks. I was like the head of making pitch decks. My boss would rely on me for making the deck. Like, where's Norman? Like, he's the good one with the decks. Like, he needs to
Yeah.
make the
Yeah.
deck.
Yeah.
So now, like, when people are like, if I have like someone that's younger than me, like asking about that and learning, I love to tell them, because like I can simplify it for them, because I don't want to make it complicated. I want to make sure that people learn about this in the most simple way.
So, where do you see yourself in 10 years from now? Do you see this company just being a super success, and then you'll come back on my show when you're widely famous and you're what something that you've made is up for an Oscar? Will you promise me that when you're up for an Oscar, you'll come back on my show?
An Oscar and an Emmy, let's say that.
Oh, yeah, okay. Either one or both. So
Either one or both. Yes, I
you'll
would.
come back on.
I will be on, of course. Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
cool. Because there's a vibe about you that you're gonna something big is gonna happen with you. I'm good with vibes and people. So I really think I mean, you're really amazing just because just your story where you took these kind of, the struggles you had of being bullied and then you made it and you made it into positive and then living in Europe for almost 4 years and experiencing all that. Your story is super unique. You know this many languages. I mean,
Thank you.
first of all, do you have a girlfriend? Are you dating? Because if not, I could find you somebody very easily. I feel because I feel like
Thank
you'd be
you.
a big. I feel like you'd be a good catch for someone. So
Well, dating is very difficult here in LA, but
yes,
is very difficult. I've been, here and there, but at the same time, like because I've been so focused, I haven't had the time to like put into like, dating as much as I want to.
yeah,
I've just been so focused on like myself and my career and work.
yeah,
To say I don't love that, because I love what I do. Like I really
yeah,
love what I do. But I think when the right time comes and the right person comes, I think it will happen. I think things happen in stages. Like for me, like I think when it happens, it will happen, and I think like I'm very like I'm chilling, but like I'm just I'm
yeah.
seeing how it's gonna go.
Do you have a wish list of people you would love to work with? So I have a guy that I'm meeting with once a week, and he's kind of like an advisor to me for my show. And because he's like, you're at the point where you need somebody to tell you like what to do next. And he made me make a list of people I'd want to interview. Like, and it goes, be as crazy as you want. So the first time we talked about it, I was holding back because I didn't want to be. I was embarrassed to say who I really wanted to interview. And he goes, these aren't the real people you want to interview. I want to know the real people that you want to interview. And so I came back with a list of about 40 people. And I think probably, so I love Madonna. She's somebody I'd love to interview. But another person, I know it's not achievable, but it's still my wish list, is Michelle Obama. She is somebody I would love, 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 because I think she'd be so fun to interview and she'd be
Yes.
so amazing. And I just love every interview she does. I just love. So that's like my wish list of is Madonna, Michelle Obama, and there's some other ones. There's a list of 38 other people because I did a list of 40. And he told me to reach out to everybody. I did not reach out to Michelle Obama though, or Madonna, but the other people that are not as big as them, I did reach out, and two of them followed me back on Instagram. So,
That's
um,
amazing. You see?
yeah.
Yeah.
So who's your wish list
To interview or just to collaborate with, like in
to
general?
collaborate with?
To collaborate with, okay. One for TV, Shonda Rhimes. I would love to do something with her because I've always admired how she uplifts Black people, specifically Black women, in her TV shows like Scandal, Grey's
Yep.
Anatomy. So that's something. I have a few scripts actually that I'm not going to say the names of them, but I have
Yeah.
a few things I would love to share with her and to get in the writer's room with her and be like, listen, like, let's pitch this. Let's I already have the casting, ideas and the pitch deck. So let's do this together. And I'm sure she would actually really like the stories. And also another person I would love to collaborate with is Denzel Washington because he's
Yeah.
one of my favorite actors. He's amazing in everything. I love American Gangster. I used to watch that as a kid growing up.
Yeah.
It's weird as a kid watching gangster movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just one. I think he's an icon. I love him.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people, even with music. I'm not a musician, but there's a lot of people I would love to have make a soundtrack like for a movie that I've written.
Who? Give me two of them.
John Williams.
Okay.
And also Pharrell. I would love to have. I know they're two completely like different types of people, but I think having them as like producers musically would be very, very interesting for a movie soundtrack.
Yeah. I mean, do you have do you have a plan in your head? Like, are you waiting for to get a little more known before you would reach out to any of these people? Like, what's
I
your
would want to
plan?
get, yeah, I think I want to get a little more known because we have a lot of, listen, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Actually, like we have a lot of different videos that are coming out this week and weekend, like a lot of different episodes for my show. So
Yeah.
I'm packed with a lot of different things, but it's on my list. Like I write things down. I think that when you really want something, write it down in your journal because
Yeah.
like I feel like that's a way of just like, like, and I pray about it. Like I'm not kidding. Like I say like, okay, like I ask like, I say, God, like please like give me this, like,
Yeah.
it's some way you can put me in the right room with the right people. And it always comes true. Like
Yeah.
I'm not trying to preach out here or anything, and
Yeah.
I'm just saying that like I'm a true believer, and I do think that like when you, like I said before, when you put positivity out and you have a mission, you will accomplish your mission as long as you stay in that mission for long enough. Something good's going to come out of it. The problem is with some people, just they quit.
Yeah.
Don't quit. Keep doing it, no matter how long it takes. Like
Yep.
patience is key, and you're gonna get something good.
Yeah. I love that. You're so inspiring. And like I said, whenever you are nominated for your Emmy/Oscar, I can't wait to interview you again. But really, you're welcome back anytime you want to come back on. If you want to talk about one of your projects and promote it, please reach out. I'm happy to have you on. You're a fabulous guest. You're a fabulous person. And I'm really, really glad I got to talk with you.
Thank you so much, Zach. It's been a pleasure. Like honestly, it's been the best. Thank you.
Anybody that's interested to know more about Norman King, I'm going to put a lot of links for his show, Meet the Makers. I'll also put. Is there a website for your new company?
There is. Well, you can just go to normankingiv.com.
Okay, great. Well, I'll put that in the link of the description of this podcast or video, however you're watching it or listening, and go and check out Norman. And let's all be on the lookout for him because, like I said, he's going to be something big. I will bet money on it. So Thanks so much for being on, Norman. Thanks everybody for listening. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, please do. Also share this with somebody who you think would think it was interesting, and be sure to give us a like. Thanks, Norman, for being on.
Thank you.